And more on the story we first brought to you yesterday. A revealing look at the experience of one detainee freed from ICE custody. And there she is, Rumeysa Ozturk. And she writes, "Suddenly, I was thrust into a nightmare." That is how this Tufts University doctoral student recalls the moment masked ICE agents arrested her in March. Well, now Rumeysa Ozturk is sharing what unfolded over her 45 days in detention in an op-ed published by Vanity Fair. At times denied food, water, religious accommodations, legal resources. She says she endured with the support of her fellow detainees. In library books, she discovered handwritten notes from detainees she never met, reminders of hope, strength, and the assurance that this too shall pass. She writes, "It's incredible how human beings can find ways to uplift each other, transcending time, space, and borders if they want to and if they choose to." Our next guest is a member of Ozturk's legal team, Jessie Rossman. She's also the legal director of the ACLU of Massachusetts. Jessie, it's been 2 months since Ozturk's release. Why is she speaking out now, especially given her case is still in limbo?
I think it speaks to how much Rumeysa believes in both the importance of exercising your First Amendment right to speak, and in her case to write, as well as a promise that she made. As you mentioned at the top, Rumeysa was held for 6.5 weeks in a for-profit ICE detention facility in Louisiana. And the women that she befriended there begged her to make sure that their voices were heard, that their stories were not forgotten. And she promised them that she would do so. And this piece is her making good on that promise as she published this piece in both Vanity Fair and Tufts Daily News, again, her school newspaper.
She describes, quote, damp, dusty, overcrowded conditions that triggered her asthma, officers not responding to one severe asthma attack until other detainees banged on windows for help. What do you find most concerning about all the details she shared?
I mean, what Rumeysa's piece really targets is the different ways in which both she and the other women who were detained there were denied basic human necessities. She speaks to the lack of medical care, the lack of nutritious food, the lack of the ability even to get a proper night's sleep. And what all of this comes down to is a stripping of the humanity of the people who are detained. It was her experience, and there are still so many women who are detained there. And Rumeysa's call to each and every one of us, I think, is very clear. We need to not turn away from what's happening in these detention facilities. We need to look at what's happening. We need to pay attention to what's happening, and we need to make sure it changes, because no one should be subjected to the kinds of really dehumanizing and traumatizing experiences that she details so eloquently in her piece.
She does detail it very eloquently, and she does have, I think, an overarching positive vibe, if you will, in her writing. She really stresses the support she found among the women she was held with. Quote, a singer with almost 1 million followers, a talented violinist, a Pilates instructor, a visual arts teacher, a devoted mom, a loving grandmother, and a woman with a passion for arranging flowers, someone's best friend, someone's fiance, someone's wife, someone's daughter, an aunt, a human rights activist. Ozturk's case is pretty high profile. We've talked a lot about her case, but how does her story compare to others that you know of?
I mean, I think what we really see from Rumeysa's piece, and I should say that it really echoes what we've been hearing across the board in these detention facilities, as Rumeysa speaks to in her piece. There's a 2024 report, Inside the Black Hole, that was looking at detention facilities throughout Louisiana, and it was based on more than 6,000 interviews. So her firsthand experience really mirrors what other women, what other men who are being detained echoes, and it's this process of really dehumanizing people and really stripping away their humanity. And I think something that's very clear, both in Rumeysa's piece, but also in her case, where she was targeted because of her First Amendment protected speech, is if it can happen to Rumeysa, it can happen to any one of us. And it's really important that everyone pays attention to this.
Jessie Rossman, thanks for joining us and helping to shine light. Appreciate it.
Thank you very much.